Why should people use a podcast content calendar?
I like this. We were, in the world of new like AI tools doing everything for us, but the content calendar is one of the oldest, methods of planning. One of the tools that we've had available for ages, but it's really important to use because it gives you the ability to figure out exactly not just the narrative arc of an episode, but of a whole season or of an like a period of time. Make sure you're covering the different things that you want to, making sure you're getting a good spread on the different topics that are, of interest to your audience, or to really plan out how you're going to be integrating your podcast with other areas of your business, other marketing you've got going on, product launches, major events in your industry. The more planned in advance you are with your podcast, the easier it's going to be to make your marketing holistic over everything that you're talking about.
What about for SEO and repurposing? How does a podcast content calendar help with that?
That partly depends on how, robust you make your calendar. I am a big fan of like really detailed, well-indexed content calendars that have a lot of information in them. So when we're making a content calendar, sometimes we call it an episode guide. We're going to not just put, the title of the episode, the date it releases, and the guest name. We're also going to include what are the keywords that are the most important. What are some of the best ideas that we talked about in this episode? And that means that when it does come time to do the SEO, that research is all kind of at our fingertips for cross-linking, for backlinking, for interlinking content. And for, tracking the stats on what is performing on different places. The more data you're getting together all in one place, the easier it's going to be to cross-reference for either tracking, measurement, or repurposing purposes.
What are some of your favorite podcast tools? There's so many things coming out right now.
So many things coming out right now. We have just started kind of exploring Adobe Audio Enhance, which is really, really cool. It basically uses AI to improve the baseline level of audio quality. Like, it doesn't do any kind of content editing, so I think that we don't have to fear for our jobs yet as producers or editors. There's still work to be done, but it does really improve the quality, especially of VoIP or ambient room noise audio. Click of a button, it kind of sounds like you're recording in studio. And for people who are podcasting kind of not as their main job or their main passion, they don't have the best mic, they don't have the best environment. This is a game changer for the level of quality that they can be starting with. And it's so exciting.
And so I haven't even tried it. How new is it?
Pretty new. We just kind of got access and found out about it in the last couple of weeks. So this is I'm not sure exactly when it was launched. It's still in beta.
How are podcast marketing services evolving? Because I know you have a podcast marketing agency.
Definitely. Well, I mean, I can't really speak for other agencies. I know with ours, what we're really focused on is leveraging podcasts within businesses. So looking at, what role is a podcast playing within the business overall. We make shows that sometimes their primary goal is relationship building, sometimes establishing thought leadership, sometimes engaging an audience that already exists, sometimes it's just for the content. We've broken them all down into what we call the business podcast blueprints. And once you figure out kind of what your main goal is for podcasting, we can really help you figure out the different ways to leverage it for different purposes.
What about for SEO in terms of improving your podcast ROI? How do you make that work?
If you diligently tracked everything in your episode guide or content calendar, then when it comes time to writing your show notes, you'll know which kind of keywords or ideas to focus on. It'll be really easy to link to other relevant content, which, I hear the SERPs are a big fan of. And it makes it easy to, when you are doing your upload and your SEO work, I've kind of got all that information on hand. And show notes, I mean, of course, ultimately they should be written for humans, not for the SERPs. But, a mindful SEO and show notes, I think, can be a real benefit to everyone.
And do you do transcripts typically, or is that sometimes? Yeah.
Typically, yes. Generally, I wouldn't post them unedited on a site, but they're really, really useful to have for search in your content database later on. So we create transcripts for all of the shows for later, for cutting out audiograms, for quotations, for social media quotes, for books, for later things. It's super handy to have everything all in one place.
What about some success goals and metrics? What else do you look at in terms of success?
I can't really speak to, every type of podcast, but if you're podcasting for your business, you don't want to start with, what makes my podcast successful. It's what are my business needs that my podcast can fulfill. And that's really where you want to be kind of starting from, basing your strategic decisions on, and then tracking over time. Because if what you need a podcast to do for you is get you FaceTime with other experts, like we're having this nice conversation now, this is how we're meeting each other, that can be the most important business use case for somebody's show. And that means, everything about that process should be prioritized, from the workflow to the follow-up, making sure that that one goal that you're working towards is being achieved as effectively and as thoroughly as possible. And that's true whether, it is for relationship building, whether it's for generating content, or thought leadership, or anything else that you prioritize. Whatever your goal is, make sure that you've got some kind of metric you can track to know whether you're achieving it or not. Whether that's the number of shares, the amount of engagement, number of downloads, if that's what matters, number of invitations you get, number of people, whatever your metric is, know what that number is and watch how that changes over time so that you can see what the different things you're doing with your show are making the impact that you want them to. I think that's the most important thing, as a podcaster who's doing this, for some kind of for business, for money, even for, passion if you're goal oriented. But knowing what your number is really, really the best thing you can do.
What do you have anything in either your report or just anecdotally that says after, it's not just buying ads for your podcast or, social shares or whatever. How do you get to that next level?
It's really personal to the podcast and to the podcaster. Within the report, there was a wide spread. The most popular of most of the top 100 were between 3 to 7 years old was kind of the main. But there were a significant number of podcasts that were new within 6 months of the time we did the data, or in their first year or two, and a couple were 10 years plus. I think what really matters more is is it providing value to you? Do you like doing it? Sometimes, you get tired of the concept. Your business changes, your audience changes. And if that's the case, then your podcast is no longer useful and valuable to you. Change it, do a new one. I think I'm a big fan of only continue it if it is bringing joy and value to you.
So where can people find you? You said onestonecreative.net's the main site. Is that right?
That's the main site. Everything is at One Stone Creative. That's onestonecreative.net. You can get the report. You can get case studies. You can get strategy calls. All the good stuff. It is there at your disposal.